Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with our special Super Bowl edition of Today in Sports Betting. It is the Kansas City Chiefs squaring off against the hometown Tampa Bay Buccaneers from the home of the big pirate ship. Scott, are they going to, and I haven't heard an answer to this, are they going to fire the cannons when the Bucs score?
The truth is, probably not. I kind of wish they did.
Yeah, I don't think they are either. I don't think they're going to treat it like a true home game.
I don't think you can.
But it would be interesting.
I would enjoy it, but I think based on the idea that it's supposed to be a quote-unquote neutral site,
right?
I don't think they're going to do it. Or if they do, it'll be for both teams.
It will. It'll be kind of fun to see because they're going to have about 22,000 people there. They're going to have 7,500 healthcare workers. Most of those healthcare workers are going to be from the Tampa Bay area.
What was it again? 22,000 fans, 22,000 cutouts?
Are they going to do cutouts too?
I think it was half and half.
Okay, well, if you've ever seen a game in Tampa Bay, sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. Although they've been better this year.
How many regular season games do you think it takes for the Rays to have 22,000 people in their stadium? Like 5, 6?
You ever been to that stadium?
I've actually never been to Tropicana.
It's awful. It's everything you think it is and worse.
Well, any single baseball stadium where you can have a ball hit a roof about, 5 times a year, not exactly ideal.
The amazing thing is it's not like it's a dual-use stadium where, like, oh, yeah, we got to play a little different rules for baseball, but it was designed for baseball.
If the ball hits the catwalk here but not here, then it's right. I'm like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Anyway. It's all depends on where it hits the catwalk.
Mm-hmm.
So, good times indeed. I have not been to the new Tampa Bay Stadium. I did see a couple games at the old Sombrero, which is before your time, but that was long ago, sir. Back in the creamsicle uniforms and the days of Tampa Bay losing just about every game. Mm-hmm. And of course, my favorite sports quote of all time, Coach John McKay, when asked about his team's execution, he said, "What, Scott?"
I'm trying to remember, but he basically just said we're terrible at everything.
He said, "I'm in favor of it."
Oh.
I'm sorry, that's still a classic. So let's talk about these new look Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Scott, with TB12 leading the way, a very opportunistic defense that puts pressure on the opposition. It looked very, very good against the presumptive MVP of the league this year, taking care of Aaron Rodgers. What do you got in this one, my friend?
So for this one here, first of all, the spread is 3 right now with some juice to Kansas City. So it's kind of bounced around 3.5, 3, but now it's a 3 with some juice. Total has dropped a little bit from 56.5 to around 56. Oh, maybe 1 or 2 55.5 with some juice to the over. That was mostly weather-related, though, and it appears that all the thunderstorms and everything like that is supposed to happen before the game, so the weather should not be too much of a factor.
Right.
What I've heard. But for this matchup here, I'm not going against Mahomes. It's one of those things where Mahomes, in all the games he's played, I forgot what his record, what is he, 24-1 in his last 25, 25-1 in his last 26 or something?
Yeah, over his last, 400 days or whatever it is, yeah.
I can't go against that. Don't get me wrong, props to Tampa for making it this far. I know I faded them almost every single step of the way, except for New Orleans. I thought that they would end up beating New Orleans, but I thought they'd lose to Green Bay. Truth is, Tampa kind of tried to hand them the game on a platter, and Green Bay just kept doing absolutely nothing with the opportunities that it had. You had the debacle at the end of the first half. You had the 3 interceptions in the second half, which led to 6 combined points for Green Bay. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, and I think Tampa's defense has shown flashes. I just think this Tampa defense has gotten by, but they haven't wowed me in any way. Have they wowed you at all?
Well, they did last week. I got to tell you, they sacked Aaron Rodgers 5 times against an offensive line that had given up just 20 sacks.
That's true. The defense was great 2 weeks ago. Rodgers had nothing in terms of time, so I will agree with you there. And that is definitely concerning because Kansas City's missing a couple tackles for this game.
Yeah, of course, Green Bay was going without David Bakhtiari, but then again, Chiefs are going to go out without Eric Fisher as well.
Yeah.
And if you follow
Tampa's defense has impressed me. It's the offense that I think is overrated. Being honest with you,
Well,
he was good in the first half, but Brady's had some serious issues his last 2 games.
he did not. He certainly did not look good in the second half. I think he threw about 3 balls that really had some zip on them that were great passes there. Most of them were in the first half for that picked up first downs. On the whole, though, Brady's you put pressure on. This game, Scott, to me is going to come down to who can get pressure on the quarterback and who can disrupt their scheme more. And that's the part that is getting very little talk here over this 2-week period, is the fact that the Chiefs' defensive line was absolutely dominant against the Buffalo Bills. They pressured Josh Allen on 46% of his throws. If you're thinking that sounds like a lot, there's a reason. It's the highest percentage ever in a playoff game since they've been keeping track of pressures. So if they can get that kind of pressure on Tom Brady, he doesn't have near the mobility that Josh Allen has. That has always been the book on Tom Brady. You make him uncomfortable. You keep him from moving up. You make him move laterally. And he is just an average quarterback.
Yeah. So anyway, my thoughts on this game, I'll take Kansas City -3 and I'll lean to the under as well. I think that even though Kansas City with an under is always dangerous, both offensive lines, I think, could have some problems in this game. And I think that if you see both quarterbacks being pressured repeatedly, you might see some lower scoring games. Plus, I am still a little bit, I'd say, concerned with Tampa's offense. I mean, Evans hasn't looked really that great since the playoffs have started. Antonio Brown was a non-factor for the last, 2 games. He didn't play against Green Bay, but of course he didn't do much against New Orleans. Godwin's been good. I'll give Godwin props. He occasionally has some drop issues, but he's been pretty good. But I just don't really think that both teams, unless both quarterbacks have tremendous amounts of pressure or have a tremendous amount of, I'd say, time in the pocket is what I meant, I'll have to lean under. So I think this game will probably end somewhere in the 27-23 range, 28-24. I think it'll be very, very close.
Not leaving yourself much room there, buddy.
I'm not, but people can anticipate a blowout for Kansas City, and if they did, I think that you can make an argument for it. I don't. I think Tampa will hang around. I do think the offensive line injuries are concerning, but at the end of the day, I think Kansas City just has too much talent, and I think Kansas City will eventually win the game. Yeah. In terms of other things in this matchup, I know I said the full game under, I'd lean. I like the first half under in this matchup. I think it's a good spot for both teams to impose their will on the defensive line, get some pressure early on. Tampa's offense has sputtered a little bit in the second half of games, but I think that Kansas City will be able to bring pressure and prevent Tampa from really generating many big plays. And I think after the first meeting, where Tyreek had 200-plus yards and basically 3 touchdowns in the first quarter, I think Tampa, I don't want to say goes full prevent, but I think they'll force Kansas City to nickel and dime them down the field instead of giving up massive plays. So I think that leads to a pretty low-scoring half, owing to the under in the first half.
Well, that was Buffalo's strategy last week, and they took away the deep ball. Kansas City Chiefs offense that had been top 5 in the league in deep shots, averaging 7.6 deep passes per game.
All right, but you take out the fumble touchdown on the punt return, the first half goes under.
Oh, sure.
So
absolutely.
That's what I'm looking at.
Well, here's my point, Scott. Even taking 0 deep shots down the field, they threw one medium level pass. Everything else was short that the Chiefs were able to turn into a lot of yardage with some yak.
I'm not saying Tampa's going to get stops. I'm just talking about them forcing Kansas City to eat more clock on each.
Correct. Yeah, this is I haven't actually formulated my opinion on the total yet. I do have a play on the side that's going to be my premium play. As far as the total goes, I think that's a pretty sharp number.
Do you agree with the first half idea, or you're not fully into that?
I don't hate it because I'll tell you why. What's the weirdest Tom Brady Super Bowl stat?
That he's combined for about 3 points in the first quarter and all Super Bowls.
Yeah, never scored a touchdown in the first quarter. Nine tries.
I don't know how much that still factors in because you have a different coaching staff and all this other stuff. But
agreed. But I mean, we're still. I mean, you kind of got to have one with the other, right? If you're going to talk about how good Tom Brady is and how he's still at the top of his game. Well, he's with a completely different staff and different. I mean, you can't kind of have one without the other.
Yeah.
I don't know why that. I don't know why that is, and it certainly sounds like one of those weird things. That's probably more of just happenstance than it is an actual trend. I mean, because there's a couple things that factor in there.
It's worth talking about, though.
First of all, if a team gets the ball going up against Brady, they're going to want to keep the ball out of Brady's hands. So they're going to work on long drives. They're going to work on keeping the clock moving and keeping the ball away from him.
Well, doesn't some of it also depend on the fact that doesn't Belichick always defer to the second half?
Yeah, he was really kind of the one that started that.
So the fact is, if you don't score many points, it's not as easy when the other team has the ball for the first 6 minutes of the first quarter.
Sure. That's absolutely true. Now, would you tie that in? And I know we're going to do our prop show later, but no score in the first 5 minutes.
Truth is, I haven't fully shopped around for all the lines yet. I was going to do that this afternoon. There is one play that I do like involving something along those lines, which we'll get into later. I think you'll agree with it, but I'll get into that later.
Okay. All right. Very good.
But do you feel better about a first half under than a full game under? I just think it's a good spot for both offensive lines. Like, would it surprise you if Kansas City's offensive line in the start of the game just gets absolutely smacked?
Yes.
It would surprise you if Kansas City's offensive line just gets overwhelmed in the first quarter?
Yes, that would surprise me, because I think they're going to be ready. I don't think they're just not going to drop Mahomes back and look to throw deep. They ran a lot of RPO last week against Buffalo, which it's kind of a misnomer the way they run it. It's not really an RPO. It's almost certainly going to be a pass. And when they talk about RPO, most times what the analysm is they don't get it right. They think the quarterback is counting guys in the box. That's not actually true. What they're really looking at is the position of the middle linebacker, depending on what defense they're playing. They want to know where the linebacker is going to be if he's going to be like playing a 5 technique or playing a 3 technique, and that's really going to determine where the ball is going to go, whether it's going to go on an inside slant or whether they're going to try to take an outside shot. So I think they're going to make adjustments that's going to negate or at least slow down that Tampa Bay pass rush. Scott, I think they're going to try to run the ball. I think that's kind of going to be my hot take. I think the Chiefs are going to at least attempt to run the ball. Green Bay had some decent success running the ball right up the middle. They had some big gains, or they were able to puncture this Tampa Bay rush defense that has been so good all season long. So I think that could play in. I think that could factor into your under. The problem that I see is how good the Chiefs were in the first quarter in the previous game.
Well, that's why I think Tampa Bay is just going to put everybody back basically and just force the nickel and diming. Because they leave Tyreek in man-to-man coverage again, it's over. Yeah,
that's it can't be done. I mean, people see he put up 260 yards. He didn't play in the second half.
Yeah.
That's the most phenomenal part about that. He was a little banged up, didn't play in the second half. So it should be a fun game. I'm looking forward to it. I think in a normal week we'd have a lot more hype when you'd have all the press conferences and all the silliness. I mean, the guys are still doing the virtual stuff, but I think
the only thing that I can tell you is that in a Brady Super Bowl, expect it to be close.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. He's a guy that he knows how to win. He knows when not to panic, and Mahomes has never beaten him in the playoffs. So, but can't really blame Mahomes for the last game. That was the Chiefs defense there.
No, you got to blame the coin toss.
Well, people forget about the fact that the New England scored the go-ahead touchdown in regulation with 32 seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes had the ball with no timeouts, 32 seconds, and was able to kick the game-tying field goal on 2. If you go back and look at it, just 2 unbelievable passes.
Mm-hmm. Well, that game was also controversial in itself. You had the offsides on the interception. You
It
had
wasn't controversial. He was
no.
lined
But
up
I'm saying
outside.
the second one was because you had that play which negated a win. You also had the Edelman punt return, which might have touched him, which might not have. Nobody really knew, but I think you'll agree that there were a lot of arguments going on if that hit him or not. So New England won the game. There was a lot of stuff going on there. Where
To me, it looked like, you know what? I tried to
there's
think
a
off.
lot of scenarios where Mahomes could have won that game.
Oh
And
yeah, that's
and
you
some breaks
can't.
didn't go his way.
Yeah, to say Mahomes lost that game. I mean, obviously it's the technically the truth, but that's not exactly what happened.
Correct. But for this one here, I'll go with the Chiefs, and
Okay.
I'll lean under full game, but I'll take the first half under.
All right. I'll make a play, Scott. I'll make a play on the total. I'm going to.
You're going to back over and root for points.
I'm going to go with you, Scott. I'm going to take the under, and I'm probably going to hate myself in the morning, but I'll go ahead and play the under. I think this game is probably going to be a little bit more of a defensive struggle than they think. I think the wild card in all this is the Chiefs defense. I think it's the unit that feels disrespected. They've got a hell of a defensive backfield. If Frank Clark is actually going to show up and continue to put pressure from the outside and make Brady move up, that's a beautiful thing. And you've got a rookie right guard that's going to be squaring off against Chris Jones. I like that matchup a lot. So you keep Brady. I'm going to go back to it. You keep Brady from stepping up in the pocket. You beat Brady. That's how you do it.
Also, question: what's Kansas City's biggest weakness on defense?
Linebackers.
I was going to say rush defense, but that too.
Well, yes. As far as one of the facets of the game,
they're connected because the linebackers aren't very good, so they don't really do a good job of closing up gaps and stuff like that. But point I'm trying to say is that Tampa might be inclined to run the ball a little bit more because Kansas City's defense has been vulnerable at times when it comes to rush defense, which could also eat up a decent amount of clock.
True. Although the Chiefs certainly stepped up against Cleveland.
They did. I'm just saying that I think you'll agree Tampa might try to at least experiment with the running game in the first half before potentially abandoning it if it doesn't work out early on.
Yeah, with Arians, you always have to wonder how much they're gonna work on the run. But yeah, that would appear to be the exploitable spot. But I just are you sold on playoff Lenny?
No.
I
mean, he has a couple of good runs every now and then, but if you want to actually go through it, most carries he has doesn't really account for much, and then he'll go for 1 for 20-something. And all of a sudden he's averaging 5 yards a carry. It's like, yeah, he had one carry for like 35, and the others went for about 3. But sure. I think Fournette's a fine running back. Do I think he's great? No. Do I think he's awful? No. I think he's in the middle somewhere.
Is he better than Jones?
Personally, I think he is.
Okay.
Because Jones also has ball security issues, which is a problem.
Yep. And
they're similar. They're similar running backs.
That's the other thing about this Chiefs defense, and that's going to be one of the props that or the Chiefs offense rather, versus the Tampa Bay defense. As much as I hate to say it, being a Chiefs fan, this is a Tampa Bay defense that knows how to create turnovers. They will rip and they will punch. That is the hallmark, and you very well know it, Scott, as being a Jets fan. That is kind of the thing with the Todd Bowles defense. Am I right?
Well, Winfield being back is huge because he's also one of the main guys who generates turnovers in the secondary.
Right. What about these safeties for Tampa Bay? What's their injury status?
So Winfield is probable. I know he missed the last game. Great player. I loved him in Minnesota. I mentioned him on the draft preview show as one of my sleepers, and he's turned out to be, I don't want to say one of the best safeties in the league, but he's definitely already made a name for himself. As for the other guy, you end up having some injury issues, as Whitehead is doubtful with a shoulder injury. He got injured in the middle of the Green Bay game. So Whitehead played in the last game. Winfield did not. And then you got some WWE tag team situation where one of them's coming in for the other.
Very well put. Safety would appear to be something you wouldn't want to be weak at going into a game against Kansas City.
Well, that is true. I still think Winfield is better than Whitehead, so I do think that the secondary will be a little bit better than it was against Green Bay. But at the end of the day, a lot of it also comes down to, can White stop Kelsey, or can anybody contain Kelsey? And I'm I'm going to assume no, but I will acknowledge that White is a phenomenal linebacker, and the defense, whenever he's on the field, is significantly better.
Yeah, agreed. Levante David, most underrated player in the NFL.
He has been for I don't know how long, at least defensively. I mean, I watch him at Rutgers. He's been great. He's one of those guys who you haven't really talked about his entire career, and he's probably going to end up wearing a gold jacket, and nobody really noticed.
Right.
He might have been the best middle linebacker in the league, not named Luke Kuechly for the last, 8 years or so. And I don't think that's a hot take. I think David's a great player.
No, you certainly make that case for well. This is a good Tampa Bay defensive unit, but their defensive backfield is so bad.
Yeah.
Just so bad. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Brady the GOAT. Is Brady the greatest of all time?
Yeah, win or lose, he's the greatest quarterback of all time.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is it just solely because of Super Bowl and postseason success?
Super Bowl longevity. I mean, how many quarterbacks do you think are going to be playing until they're 45?
Yeah, George Blanda. That's it.
Yeah, I'm saying, but it's not even just playing, but playing better than Drew Brees and old Peyton Manning quality. Like Brady, I've roasted earlier this year for not looking good on the deep ball. He definitely improved over the course of the season. Has he looked dominant in the playoffs? No. But, I mean, he's still looked, I'd say, pretty good. I think you'd agree with that. I don't think he's ranked in the 20s. I think he's probably a mid-teens quarterback at this stage in his career, which, truth is, there's really no shame in it.
Led the league in deep passes, Scott.
Yeah.
After me and many other pundits.
First 8 weeks or so, he couldn't complete a deep ball to save his life, and then
it looked dreadful the last 2 years with New England throwing any kind of ball past 10 yards. So good for him. Should be a fun game to watch. I'll be watching it.
I'm assuming you agree that Brady's the GOAT. I don't even think it's a conversation anymore.
Well, there's so many factors that go into that. I mean,
I don't know who you'd put ahead of him.
Joe Montana.
I couldn't put Montana in there.
I know you couldn't. You didn't get to see him play. But somebody.
It also helps you know Jerry Rice your entire career.
Before Kansas City. Yeah, it's very true. Although. What Rice did was catch the ball. That was a lot.
That's just disrespectful to Jerry Rice.
What do you mean?
I know where you're going with that because he's a wide receiver, but Rice might be the greatest football player in the history of the sport.
Well, that's a different conversation.
I'm just saying. I think Rice is easily a top 3 player of all time at any position.
Okay. Well, I mean, when you have those kind of stats, it's a hard thing statistically to argue with, but you also have to remember that offensive system of Bill Walsh was so innovative that nobody was doing that. So they definitely put those guys in a position to succeed.
It's true. I'm not denying that. I'm just also saying that if you're talking about great all-time quarterbacks, I just think I don't remember when Montana retired. How many years was he in Kansas City? Like 1 or
90, 2? I want to say 94 was the Chiefs-Buffalo game, if I'm not mistaken.
He was there for 1 year or 2?
2 years.
Okay. So I'm assuming he was out of the league by like 38,
37. Yeah, that seems about right, yeah.
I mean, Brady's playing, and he's about to be 45.
No, he's 42. He's not about to be 45.
He wants to play till he's 45.
I understand that. He wants to play. Well,
but you know what I mean. He's in his 40s. No, everyone thought he was
Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees.
Yeah. Everyone thought he was going to retire a couple of years ago. I can't argue with the longevity. It's just it's too crazy for me. I got to go.
He's taking good care of his body, man. He really has, and
millions and millions of dollars in cryo chambers and all this other stuff.
But he ain't doing nothing the other guys don't do. I mean, as far as the thing that's different about Brady, I think, is his diet.
Yeah, that too.
So yeah, it's. If he's not the GOAT, it's a very short list, and it's hard to argue with somebody being the GOAT when they've had that kind of postseason success and that kind of longevity. I totally get it. The season with Randy Moss, with Moss putting up 23 touchdowns.
To this day, it's still the greatest team in my opinion in NFL history. I know that team didn't win.
It's hard to argue with. That's you can't. No team's ever gone 16-0 in the regular season. And except for David Tyree, they complete the Super Bowl victory there. I totally agree with that. You talk about Moss and his 23 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill has 16 touchdowns this year.
Yep,
I won't say he's been, not exactly quiet because he's recognized as one of the best in the league.
I think the most impressive regular season this year for wide receiver was Levante David because he missed about, 3 games, and he still had about 16, 17 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like, he was on pace to break some records if he played every game. But Hill has been ridiculous ever since he came into the league, and he's a matchup nightmare. He might be unguardable, just straight up. I don't know how you're supposed to stop him, ever.
You give him if he's got a step, if he's got a step in any direction, gone.
The only receiver who's more dangerous with an extra step is Scotty Miller. No, what would we say? Minus 260, minus 160 in that race? No,
I think Dave said I said minus 140 or so. You said 160. Dave said minus 180.
Yeah, so we were in the middle.
So yeah,
I was close or whatever.
You were low, yeah.
Low, but I was close. But anyway. Yeah, it's just a matter of hoping that this game's going to be good. Of course, if you take Kansas City or you take Tampa, I think you still want this game to be entertaining. I'm sure people who had Seattle in the Super Bowl had a good time against Denver, but I'm sure a part of them kind of wishes the game wasn't a 35-point blowout in the middle of the third quarter. Am I wrong about that, or do you?
Yes.
You think they just want the easy win and just get out of Dodge?
Well, I can speak to that since I am a KC fan. We had our exciting Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
That was fine. That was a great comeback.
I mean, not full fans. I'm just talking about, if you bet on the games, do you want to win a game by 10 or win a game by 40 and you can pretty much stop watching at halftime?
Oh, stop watching at halftime.
Yeah, that's fair.
Give me the rocking chair every day, buddy.
That's for betting, but it's also the experiences. Then again, I don't know what the experience of a Super Bowl is going to even mean this year when most Super Bowl parties are going to be either virtual or non-existent.
I know. At the end of the day, yes, there's no better adrenaline rush than getting that late cover or your team hangs on with the goal line stand to keep
I'm not hoping that all the people listening have a heart attack. I'm just saying that I don't think that going to a Super Bowl where it's a 30-point game at the half is really just a great experience for anybody.
It's not. It's except for bettors. I mean, that's the only thing. I don't.
And the most exciting part of the Broncos Seahawks Super Bowl, besides the safety, was the Bruno Mars halftime show. It was bad. Then
you didn't like it?
No, the halftime show was fine. I'm talking about the game, and then you go into the second half, and it's all right, let's see what happens. Opening kickoff, return touchdown.
What was the best Super Bowl halftime show? Really quick before we go.
It's got to be Katy Perry with a left shark.
Wrong.
Right? As a left shark. You can't go against a left shark. Come on.
Prince in the Rain.
That's fair. I was making a joke, but yes. You had a bunch of old rock bands for a while in the early 2000s.
Loved every one of them too. Had Tom Petty, had the Stones, had Springsteen,
and then they just immediately pivoted to modern rap and hip hop people, and I'm like, what happened here?
Yeah, people started dying, Scott.
That's fair too. Rest in peace, Tom Petty.
They had I meant their fans, but yeah, some of the rockers.
I'm joking that too. I was joking, but yes.
They had the Who. That was
I'm saying because the actual performers started dying, so they had.
Yeah, also, yeah, very true. Yeah, I like the Katy Perry coming out on the elephant or whatever at the beginning of the. Sure, see her roar.
Left shark.
I'm usually entertained by him when I don't think I'm going to be. I thought I would hate Katy Perry.
I never watched the halftime show.
Really?
I never do it.
I've usually got bets on it, so.
That is a separate reason why, and Dave Mason admitting that BetOnline pulled the first song being played definitely killed some of my interest, but I really don't. I don't know if there's ever any sporting events that are on at the same time as Super Bowl, like some random obscure college game. Is there ever any games going on? Probably not.
I don't think so.
I doubt it. So
Puppy Bowl.
What I usually do.
Puppy Bowl's on.
I think I catch up on my drinking during the halftime show. Got a game of beer pong going or something.
Really? You don't like? Oh my god!
I'm not because I don't like the artists half the time. I don't want to sit there and listen to Katy Perry for 30 minutes.
Did you watch last year's halftime show with J-Lo and Shakira?
I actually watched none of it, but I saw the Shakira tongue thing.
See, I don't like either one of them, but it was an entertaining show. You watch it because it's a good show.
Was it entertaining for the show or the fact that none of them were wearing any clothes?
It was entertaining for the show. I'm
sure a lot of people were watching for different reasons than you were watching.
I guess. If you get titillated by PG or PG-13.
I'm just saying that was a conversation that was brought up, but I didn't watch really any of it. I didn't care. Maybe it's just me, but I find the Super Bowl halftime show, it's a controversial opinion, an extremely overrated experience.
I would be interested to have people drop a comment and see.
I would listen to it if it was bands I liked.
It's never going to be bands you like. So
Correct.
Put it that way. I mean, that's you like, kind of what power rock sort of stuff.
Yeah, that'll never be there. I'm fine with 80s rock as well. Like if they would have kept some of the older bands, not necessarily the Who, but on like a Journey or a Foreigner or something like that, maybe I would have listened for the full thing. But yeah. I just can't. I just don't like the music enough. That's the problem. If I don't like the show and I don't like the music, what am I watching for?
Well, you're watching for the event because it's an event. It's a thing.
I'm saying it's a thing.
The pageantry, the sheer magnitude of the moment.
They should move the hot dog eating contest to the halftime show. That's all I'm saying. I'd be more inclined to watch that.
All right. Sometimes I forget who the curmudgeon is in this relationship.
I wouldn't say that, but that's definitely a good word choice, though. I'll give you props on that one. But I don't know. Maybe just me in the halftime show. If I don't have money on it, I'm not really interested in seeing random singers delay a football game by about 30 minutes.
So you never bet on Adam Levine wearing a hat or not coming out for a halftime show?
I did not.
I made good money on him not wearing a hat.
I don't know what the max bet was on that one, but I'm sure you cleaned up.
All right. I want to know in the comment section. Drop us a line. Let us know if you watch the halftime show or not. And let us know what your thoughts are on this
one. It's not even just watching. It's whether or not you actually enjoy watching the halftime show. Because a lot of people are too lazy to get up and they'll just watch it because it's on and whatever. Do you actually
too lazy to get up? Somebody's too lazy to get up and go to another room? Come on.
I think most people sit and watch the halftime show. I'm asking if you actually enjoy the halftime show when you watch it at a Super Bowl party.
I will say I am always pleasantly surprised by the halftime show and how much I enjoy it.
I thought the Bruno Mars one was good.
That's what I'm saying.
I remember being good.
Somebody I didn't particularly like, Katy Perry. Somebody I didn't particularly like. I liked both those halftime shows.
I think I barely watched any.
Maroon 5, a band I hate every single day. Hated them at the halftime show.
Who was Coldplay with again?
Oh, that's right. Chris Martin was somebody. They didn't have Coldplay, I don't think, but didn't he come out and sing with somebody?
Was that with Bruno Mars?
Maybe.
Or was that Red Hot Chili Peppers who was with Bruno Mars?
I think the Chili Peppers were with Bruno Mars, but
I think also had their own halftime show. I lose track of all this stuff.
Yeah, I do too. I know Chris Martin came out and ruined the halftime show. So
that sounds about right.
I have an unnatural hatred of Chris Martin and Adam Levine. So I'm just going to say
Adam Levine doesn't bother me, but whatever.
I
don't actively listen to Maroon 5, so
hate it. God, couldn't hate it more. All right, that's it. I think we're going down the wrong path here, buddy. So we're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna be back and do our prop show. It'll be chock full of halftime Super Bowl bets. That's all I can tell you right now. We'll be back with some of our favorite prop bets because it is prop day, man. Everybody's on and I think there's going to be a lot of prop action. And the number really hasn't pushed much off of 3. It's been 3 or 3.5 all week long.
It won't move, in my opinion, unless he gets another COVID outbreak.
No, it's not going. No, it's not. It's not going to move. It's locked in. I think they're talking about the best it'll get is a juice 3.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Anyway, all right, guys. Anything else? Any final Super Bowl thoughts, Scott?
No. I'm hoping Kansas City wins. I know you're hoping Kansas City wins as well. So let's see what happens.
All right, very good. And for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at Winners and Winers, wishing you guys nothing but the best of luck on all of your Super Bowl bets, be they props, be they totals, sides, quarter bets, whatever it is. Get out there and have some fun, make a little money.
Tails never fails.
Tails never fails. Mm-hmm. Tails. And for God's sakes, shop around. If you insist on betting the coin toss, shop around.
If your line is lower than minus 130, you're not doing it right.
I've seen books that have minus 115 on the coin toss.
I think I've seen minus 120 every now and then.
Jesus. Okay, stop it. Just stop it. All right, you're giving gamblers a bad name. If you want to bet on something intelligent, bet on the national anthem. There, I said it. All right. Guys, have a great day. Take care, and look for us later on our prop show. All right, but for now, for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at Winners and Winners, that's going to do it for this edition of Today in Sports Betting. We'll see you next time, guys. Take care.